Have you ever wondered why the wisest people are often the quietest in the room? What do they know that the rest of us don't? In a world filled with endless noise, distractions, and mindless chatter, there's a forgotten art, a wisdom so profound it can change the very way you live. That art is silence, and the ancient Stoics mastered it. Today, we're going to explore 6 essential Stoic principles that reveal the immense power of silence. Imagine a life where you are no longer enslaved by impulsive reactions, where you find strength in stillness, and where you control your emotions instead of them controlling you. By the end of this journey, you will see that silence is not weakness, it's the ultimate strength. Stay with me as we dive into the heart of Stoicism, a philosophy that has endured for over 2,000 years, because what you learn today might just transform how you approach every aspect of your life. Let's begin this journey toward inner calm and discover how mastering silence can lead to wisdom, resilience, and true self-control. 1. Silence as strength. Why do we fear silence? Is it because we equate talking with control? The first principle the Stoics teach us is that silence is not an absence of strength, but a demonstration of it. In a world that equates speaking loudly with power, the quiet strength of silence stands in stark contrast. Imagine a situation where you are in the midst of conflict. What is your first impulse? Do you rush to defend yourself, to speak over others, or to assert your opinion without pausing? The Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, would advise the opposite. Silence, they argue, is a sign of inner power. It allows us to conserve our energy, to reflect deeply, and to process our thoughts before reacting. In fact, Epictetus often taught that we should be silent for the most part, and that we should speak only when necessary. How often do we waste our words? How many times have we spoken impulsively only to regret it later? The strength of silence is that it gives us time to think, time to reflect, and time to choose our words wisely. Consider this: when you speak less, you listen more, and when you listen more, you understand better. Silence creates space for clarity. It is in these moments of quiet that we can assess the situation without the cloud of emotions or ego. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "He who speaks without modesty will find it difficult to make his words good. The less we speak, the more weight our words carry. Each word becomes deliberate, meaningful, and reflective of our true thoughts, rather than the fleeting impulses of the moment." The strength of silence is not about retreating into inaction. It is about mastering the self, and mastering the self is the core of Stoicism. When we control our urge to speak, we demonstrate discipline, a key Stoic virtue. We resist the urge to indulge in unnecessary conversation, gossip, or argument. Instead, we focus on what truly matters: our inner peace, our principles, and our integrity. But why does silence feel so uncomfortable at times? Is it because we associate it with vulnerability or weakness? The Stoics saw it differently. Silence is a fortress. It is a way to protect ourselves from rash decisions and reckless words. In the calm that silence offers, we find the space to realign with our true selves, to ensure that our words and actions reflect our values rather than our fears or anxieties. Think about the times when silence has brought you peace. How did you feel afterward? Perhaps lighter, more in control, or more aligned with your own thoughts. Silence is not a void. It is an opportunity, a space where wisdom can take root. And isn't that what we all seek? To speak less, but when we do, to speak with purpose and clarity. As we move forward, reflect on this. Could you practice more silence in your daily life? Could you harness its strength to improve your relationships, your decision-making, and your inner peace? As the Stoics believed, silence is the gateway to wisdom, but it requires discipline and mindfulness. The next time you feel the urge to speak, pause and ask yourself, is this necessary? What might silence teach me in this moment? Now that we understand the strength found in silence, let's explore how this silence helps us remain calm in the face of adversity, which is another crucial pillar of Stoic philosophy. 2. Calm in the face of adversity. How do you react when life throws challenges your way? Do you immediately feel the need to fight, to argue, or to control the uncontrollable? The Stoics taught us that silence is the key to maintaining calm in the face of adversity. But how does silence help when everything around us seems to demand a reaction? The Stoic response is simple but profound. We cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. When adversity strikes, our natural impulse is often to react emotionally, to defend, to explain, or to resist. Yet, Epictetus, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, reminds us that true freedom comes from within. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, he famously said. Think about a difficult moment you've experienced recently. What was your immediate response? Was it calm and measured, or was it driven by frustration or fear? Stoicism teaches us that silence in such moments is not a sign of defeat or passivity. Rather, it is a sign of immense strength. By staying silent, we give ourselves the gift of time to think, to process, and to decide how we wish to react. Consider the life of Epictetus himself. Born into slavery and later crippled by his master, Epictetus could have easily become bitter and angry, yet his teachings reflect a deep serenity and acceptance of his fate. His silence in the face of adversity was not an absence of action, but a deliberate choice to focus on what he could control, his thoughts and his attitude. He turned his suffering into wisdom, teaching us that external events cannot harm us unless we let them. Why is it so difficult to remain calm when we face adversity? Is it because we have been conditioned to believe that reacting immediately is a sign of strength? The Stoics offer a different perspective. They believe that silence in the face of difficulty allows us to assess the situation with clarity. We can then choose a response that aligns with our principles and virtues rather than one driven by momentary emotions. Silence helps us to resist the urge to blame others, to complain, or to act out of fear. In the moments of stillness that silence provides, we can find the strength to endure. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, faced countless challenges during his reign, from wars to plagues to personal loss. Yet, in his meditations, we see a man deeply committed to remaining calm in the face of adversity. His words remind us to focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions, and to let go of the rest. You have power over your mind, not outside events, he wrote. Realize this, and you will find strength. So, how can we practice this in our own lives? The next time you find yourself in a stressful or challenging situation, pause. Before speaking or reacting, take a moment of silence. Ask yourself, what is within my control? What is outside of my control? By focusing on what you can influence, your own thoughts and actions, you will find a sense of calm that is unshakable even in the face of adversity. As you continue on this journey of Stoic reflection, remember that silence is not inaction. It is the first step toward deliberate action. In those moments of silence, you give yourself the opportunity to respond from a place of strength rather than being carried away by the storm of emotions. This is the essence of Stoic calmness in adversity, to maintain inner peace even when the world around you is in chaos. Now that we've explored how silence can help us stay calm in difficult times, let's look at another Stoic virtue, the discipline and self-control that come through silence. 3. Discipline through silence. How disciplined are you in your daily life? Do you find yourself speaking impulsively, or do you choose your words carefully, with intention and purpose? The Stoics believed that silence was a powerful tool for cultivating discipline, a key virtue in living a life aligned with reason and virtue. Discipline, according to the Stoics, is not about restricting yourself out of obligation. It's about choosing a path that leads to greater freedom and peace. And one of the most effective ways to practice discipline is through silence. When we control our speech, we practice self-restraint, a cornerstone of Stoicism. We resist the temptation to speak every thought that comes to mind, to engage in gossip, or to react emotionally. But why is this so important? Because every word we speak has power. It has the power to shape our relationships, our decisions, and even our perception of ourselves. Epictetus once said, "Nature gave us one tongue and two ears so that we could listen twice as much as we speak." This simple observation highlights the Stoic belief that speaking less allows us to listen more, to reflect more, and ultimately, to act with greater wisdom. Think about the times when you've spoken without thinking. What were the consequences? Did you find yourself regretting your words, wishing you had paused before responding? The Stoics teach us that discipline in speech leads to discipline in thought. When we control our tongue, we also control our mind. We give ourselves the space to think deeply, to weigh our options, and to act according to our principles rather than our impulses. Consider the life of Marcus Aurelius. As Emperor of Rome, he had the power to command armies, to make laws, and to shape the fate of an entire empire. Yet, he practiced remarkable restraint in his speech and actions. In his meditations, he often reflected on the importance of controlling his words and actions, ensuring that they were aligned with his Stoic ideals of virtue, justice, and wisdom. For Marcus, silence was not about avoiding conflict or difficult conversations. It was about ensuring that when he did speak, his words carried the weight of thoughtfulness and integrity. So, how can we bring this discipline into our own lives? Start by practicing silence in small moments. When you feel the urge to speak, whether in anger, frustration, or excitement, pause. Take a moment to reflect. Is this necessary? What impact will my words have? By practicing this discipline of silence, you will find that your words become more meaningful, more deliberate, and more aligned with your true intentions. This is the power of Stoic discipline. It frees us from the impulsive reactions that often lead to regret and allows us to live a life of purpose and intention. And as you begin to practice this discipline, you will notice a shift in your relationships, your decisions, and your inner peace. Before we move on to the next Stoic principle, I invite you to stay with me through this journey of discovery. The Stoic path is one of growth, and mastering these principles will not only lead to a more meaningful life, but also to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Don't miss out on the insights still to come. They might just change the way you think and live. Let's continue now by exploring how silence can lead to deeper understanding through the art of listening. 4. Deep listening, the path to wisdom. Do you really listen when others speak, or do you find yourself merely waiting for your turn to respond? In the practice of Stoicism, one of the greatest benefits of silence is that it opens the door to deep listening. The art of listening is not just about hearing words, it's about understanding, empathy, and gaining wisdom from others. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, placed a high value on listening as a means to connect with the world and the people around them. When we remain silent, we allow ourselves the opportunity to absorb the wisdom of others. But deep listening goes beyond simply being quiet. It requires us to be fully present, to let go of our own biases and judgments, and to genuinely engage with what the other person is saying. Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where you're not really listening, but instead thinking of what you're going to say next? How often does this lead to misunderstandings or missed opportunities for connection? Stoicism teaches us that by practicing silence and deep listening, we can improve not only our understanding of others, but also our own wisdom. Consider the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who valued listening as a path to knowledge. He knew that wisdom often comes not from speaking, but from carefully observing and reflecting on the words of others. This deep listening allows us to gain insights into the human condition, to understand the motivations and struggles of others, and to strengthen our relationships. But why is listening so difficult for many of us? Perhaps it's because we are often too caught up in our own need to be heard, to prove our point, or to assert our opinions. The Stoics would challenge us to question this impulse. What if, instead of speaking, we took a moment to truly hear what the other person is saying? What if we set aside our ego and approach the conversation with curiosity and empathy? Deep listening is an act of humility. It acknowledges that we don't have all the answers and that there is always something to learn from others. In this way, silence becomes a bridge to wisdom, as it allows us to absorb the lessons and perspectives that we might otherwise miss. And isn't wisdom what we all seek? The ability to navigate life with clarity and understanding. To practice deep listening, we must also practice presence. This means letting go of distractions, both external, like our phones, and internal, like our wandering thoughts. By being fully present in the moment, we honor the person speaking, showing them that their words are valuable and that we are here to learn from them. How would your relationships change if you practiced deep listening? How would your conversations be different if, instead of waiting to speak, you focused entirely on understanding the other person? The Stoics believed that through silence and listening, we cultivate deeper connections with those around us and, in turn, deepen our own wisdom. As you move forward, try this Stoic practice in your next conversation. Instead of rushing to respond, take a moment to truly listen. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? How can I better understand their perspective? By practicing deep listening, you will not only become a better communicator, but you will also grow in wisdom and empathy. Now that we've explored the power of deep listening, let's turn our attention to another important aspect of Stoicism: removing distractions from our lives so we can focus on what truly matters. 5. Removing distractions, focusing on what matters. In today's world, distractions are everywhere. From the constant ping of notifications to the endless stream of social media, our attention is constantly being pulled in multiple directions. How often do you find yourself overwhelmed by these distractions? How much of your time is spent on things that don't truly matter? The Stoics understood that to live a meaningful and purposeful life, we must eliminate distractions, both external and internal. They taught that these distractions not only waste our time, but also cloud our judgment and prevent us from focusing on what is truly important: our virtues, our relationships, and our pursuit of wisdom. Imagine a life where you are fully present, where your mind is not cluttered with unnecessary thoughts, and where you have the clarity to focus on your goals and values. This is the life that the Stoics sought to cultivate through the practice of silence and simplicity. By removing distractions, they created space for reflection, for growth, and for the pursuit of wisdom. Epictetus, in particular, stressed the importance of focusing on what truly matters. He lived a life of simplicity, free from the distractions of wealth and material possessions. For Epictetus, the only thing worth pursuing was virtue and inner peace. Everything else was a distraction, a barrier to living in accordance with nature and reason. But what are the distractions in your life? Is it the endless stream of information from your phone, the constant need for validation on social media, or perhaps it's the internal distractions, Those thoughts that pull you away from the present moment and cause unnecessary stress and anxiety. The Stoics teach us that by practicing silence and removing distractions, we can free ourselves from the noise that surrounds us and focus on what truly matters. This doesn't mean we must give up all modern conveniences, but it does mean we must be mindful of how we use them. Are we using technology and media to enhance our lives, or are they becoming sources of distraction and stress? Consider this. How much time do you spend each day on things that don't contribute to your growth or well-being? What would happen if you eliminated just one major distraction from your life? Could you redirect that time and energy towards something more meaningful, like cultivating your virtues, spending time with loved ones, or pursuing a new skill? The Stoics believed that simplicity leads to clarity. By removing the unnecessary clutter from our lives, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, we create space for self-reflection and growth. Silence, in this sense, is not just the absence of noise, but the absence of distraction. It allows us to focus on what truly matters, living a virtuous life and finding inner peace. I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the distractions in your life. What can you remove or reduce to create more space for meaningful pursuits? How can you use silence to cut through the noise and focus on what really matters? As you reflect on these questions, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are the distractions you struggle with, and how do you plan to reduce them? Share your insights in the comments below, and let's learn from each other as we continue on this journey of Stoic reflection. Now that we've discussed the importance of removing distractions, let's turn our attention to one of the most essential qualities of a Stoic: inner strength. 6. Inner strength, the quiet power within. What does it mean to be truly strong? Is strength about physical power, or is it something deeper? For the Stoics, true strength was not found in outward displays of power or dominance, but in the quiet resilience of the mind and spirit. Inner strength is the ability to endure life's hardships with grace, to remain calm in the face of adversity, and to stay true to one's principles no matter the circumstances. In Stoicism, inner strength is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that difficulties don't exist. Rather, it's about recognizing that life will inevitably bring challenges, and it's up to us to choose how we respond. The Stoics believed that the only thing we truly have control over is our own mind, our thoughts, our attitudes, and our reactions. Consider the life of Epictetus. Born into slavery, he faced immense physical and emotional suffering, yet he never allowed these external circumstances to break his spirit. He found strength in his ability to control his thoughts and reactions, teaching that true freedom comes from within. No matter what life threw at him, Epictetus remained steadfast in his belief that his inner world was his own, untouchable by any external force. But where does this inner strength come from, and how can we cultivate it in our own lives? The Stoics believed that inner strength is built through the practice of silence and self-reflection. When we take the time to sit in silence, to reflect on our thoughts and actions, we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and our own power. Silence gives us the space to build resilience, to strengthen our character, and to align our actions with our values. How do you respond when faced with difficulty? Do you panic, lash out, or feel overwhelmed? Or do you remain calm, knowing that you have the strength within you to endure whatever comes your way? The Stoics remind us that we cannot always control the events of our lives, but we can always control our response. And it is in this control that we find our true strength. Inner strength is not about never feeling fear or pain. It's about choosing to act with courage and integrity despite those feelings. It's about facing adversity head-on, knowing that it is through these challenges that we grow stronger. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, the very obstacles we face are what allow us to grow in strength and wisdom. How can we cultivate this inner strength in our daily lives? One way is through the practice of silence. By taking time each day to sit in stillness, to reflect on our thoughts and actions, we build the resilience needed to face life's challenges. Silence allows us to connect with our inner self, to find the calm amidst the storm, and to draw on the strength that lies within us. Another way to build inner strength is through adversity itself. When life presents us with difficulties, we can choose to see them not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. Each challenge is a chance to strengthen our resolve, to practice patience, and to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As we bring this journey of Stoic reflection to a close, I invite you to reflect on your own inner strength. How have you faced challenges in the past? And how can you use silence and reflection to strengthen your resilience moving forward? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your journey of inner strength might inspire someone else to find their own. As we reach the end of this exploration into the power of silence, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is a practice of strength, discipline, wisdom, and inner peace. Through silence, we can calm our minds, listen more deeply, focus on what truly matters, and cultivate the inner strength to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the external events of our lives, but we can always control our response. And it is through the practice of silence that we gain the clarity and strength needed to live a life of virtue and purpose. I encourage you to carry these lessons of Stoicism with you as you move forward. Practice silence in your daily life. Listen more deeply, remove distractions, and focus on cultivating your inner strength. By doing so, you will not only find greater peace and clarity, but you will also become a source of strength and wisdom for those around you. Thank you for joining me on this journey of Stoic reflection. If you found value in these insights, I encourage you to like this video, share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future content. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your own thoughts and experiences. Your journey may inspire others to begin their own path of Stoic wisdom. May you find strength in silence, wisdom in reflection, and peace in the practice of Stoicism.